Good day to all. Welcome to Straight Talk with Greg Middleton. My name is Alexandra. With this introduction, here is Greg.
A good day to each and every one of you, and welcome to our show, Straight Talk. Today I have two returning guest members, Brendan Lamar and Martin Gordon. And rather than reading their extensive, long bios, I'd rather jump right into it because this is only a 30-minute show. But before I get started, I'd like to do what I like to do traditionally as a brief prayer. So could you pray with me, guys? Heavenly Father, may the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart reach the points and the people that you're trying to reach so they can produce good fruits for the kingdom. Amen. Okay, I'd like to read a little synopsis, Brendan, that I found on your website here that explains the event a little bit. It says, at this inaugural event, you will hear perspectives and from multi-generations of African Americans about their perspectives and experiences in Pasadena, while also sharing their ideas of how we can work together and make our history preserved. Does that accurately explain?
Absolutely. I mean, the concept of the Merge Black Pasadena is something that I've been thinking about for a long time, to bring the multi-generations of African Americans who are born here, raised here, reside here, or have moved here into one room, right? For so long, we had the red, green, and black dinner for Black History Parade, and then we had the Ruby McKnight dinner through the NAACP. But it seemed like those were only for certain generations. Not saying that all generations wasn't invited, but typically it was only for certain generations. And so seeing the dwindling numbers of Black Pasadenians that we are seeing right now, the concept is we have to do something in our city together as African Americans to help to preserve our history. So yeah.
Do you know of any organization that has tried this before? Because Marty and I are the same generation, and we're kind of concerned that you have a lot of older people who've been in the fight a long time. But where are the younger generations who come in under us to do the same battle? Do you work with a lot of other people who are in the battle?
I think that's a good question. I think my answer is yes. There are young people that's in the battle. I will say that the fight is between generations, and the reason why I say that is because for so long, the older generation seems like at times they don't want to pass the baton.
Right.
And so I use a perspective, as the Bible say, right? The Lord says that he calls the young because we're strong, and he calls the elders because of their wisdom, right? And so there's a saying that I say that when wisdom and strength collides, we're able to preserve a history and preserve a generation. And so that's what we're trying to do in this perspective of this event, is preserve history and continue to make strides so that all of the generations of Black Pasadena can actually sustain here and live here and grow here, and people can come back that has left. And even if, you know, people want to stay, they can stay if that's what they decide to do. But it's all encompass one another, right? Into the ideas and the policies and procedures that we have. It's not only just for us to live here, but, you know, we have to see African Americans working in our systems as well, right? From the police department all the way down to park and recreation, to finance, to city council, to our city hall. And so we want to make sure that at the end of the day, everybody is in the same room and we're speaking the same language.
You know, that brings up a point that I've always addressed too. It's like so many players out here, Marty and I know that, but everybody seems to be working solo. Wouldn't it be much better if we could combine, like you said, multi-generational, you know, young and old, every denomination of everybody get together and work this whole thing together? Because for some reason, Black people don't seem to work together good.
I think that's what we're doing now. We're changing that perspective, right? We have my generation of young people who are taking this on. Then you have the wisdom of Martin Gordon, his generation. You have the wisdom of some of our sponsors of like Vital Voices with Lena Kennedy. We have Danny Bakewell
Right.
Jr. And the Kappas. We have the Alphas. We have Pasadena Community Coalition. There's Pasadena Black Pages are one of our sponsors as well. And so there's so many of our sponsors that are coming together that are part of that multi-generation, right? And the important thing for me with this event is that this event is showing everybody that this is something that is possible for us to do, for generations to work together. And I was joking about it with Martin Gordon, is that this is the reason why I wanted it to do it on April Fools. Because we're going to fool everybody.
Hey,
the
I
people
like
that
that.
says, this can't be done, this can't happen. This is we're looking to fool you.
Right. And Martin, Martin, I noticed, like I said,
He's my
we've
neighbor.
been talking about this for a while, about getting our youth activated. Because when we gone, they're going to be here. And if they don't take the reins, because you said earlier, we hesitate to give up the reins. And I agree with that. What do you think? Do we hold on too tight? Should we just say, here you go?
Well, you would never give somebody your training the reins and say,
Right.
let go. But we've got some strong, educated, smart, intelligent black people, young black people here in our community. And so we've got to let the reins go, but we don't let them go. We don't throw them we don't
Right.
throw them. We hold the reins, but we give a little bit of the reins, and we got to loosen the reins quite a bit.
Right.
One of our issues is that I have met, because of Brandon Lamar and a lot of other young people that I've met through him and around, I've seen just the phenomenal amount of courage, ability to lead us in the right direction, and the strength and the vigor to be able to do that I still have a little bit of it, but not like I used to.
Right.
And for a lot of us of the older generation. So I think the main thing is for us, I think the old school, sometimes we think that we know it all.
Right.
Guess what our problem is?
What's that?
The world has changed.
Very.
And I'm going to give you something that's concrete. Go to all your friends in our age group, and I can tell you a few right now. I wish I could name them, but they get mad.
Right.
And I tell them, excuse me, could you text me so-and-so and give me a call and put this on email? And they get on their phone and they start doing this and
Right.
that. Now that seems like a simple matter. But guess what? That's one of the reasons why some of the technology that or the ability for us to even communicate with each other, I'm talking
Right.
about as the older generation,
Right.
and with the younger generation, is stopgap.
Right.
So one of the nice things we could do just by this event today, say, guess what? From now on, when you have a problem, call the Pasadena Community Coalition,
Right.
and he's going to hook you up with somebody from the young generation who's going to do a series on how do you use your iPhone, how do you
Right.
use your Google phone, guess what? You've just increased that person's ability to communicate, tenfold.
Right.
So I try to use that as an example to say we have got to start looking at the technology and different things that young people take for granted every day that we don't. And we have to realize that some of the things that we did that are old school, they still work, but there's a better way to utilize them through the
Right.
youth.
Right.
So guess what? If I have this event, I had to send emails to a whole bunch of my friends because they didn't know how to use a QR code. And I called Brandon up.
Right.
I said, Brandon, and wait a minute, I'll give you another example because Brandon's going to laugh at me.
Right.
Brandon, I said, Brandon, I can't send this to my people and say, guess what? Look on the QR code and open it up and see what's going on. He look at that and said, man, by the time I get done with that, man, I'd be dead.
Right.
I said, I have to send, I redid an email and I said, here's the time, here's the date, here's how much food there's going to be, here's what's going to do, blah, blah, blah. Because that's how we're used to communicating.
Right.
So, and sent that out. But that's just a different dynamic. But we have to learn, God, what am I getting ready to say? We have to learn to merge those two.
Right.
And that's what this is about.
And the thing
wait
that-
a minute, let me
Go
finish,
ahead,
Greg.
go ahead. Uh-huh.
Let me finish, because I want to talk about merge. I don't want to hear what you got. I want to say,
That's
when
why I wanted to go
when
to.
Brandon first came to me, and he started talking about merge, Black Pasadena, I said, merge Black what?
Right.
He said, I'm talking about the young and the old. I immediately understood because I deal with young people in the coalition all the time.
Right.
And a lot of them come to me and say, Martin, what should we do here? What should we do there? But once I tell them, they're gone.
Right.
And they can get it out on social media, can do all these other things. And I got excited, and I told him whatever needs to happen that I can do, I'll be sure to help him with Merge Black Pasadena.
Right.
That's all I want to say.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, you had said something on your page about black population in Pasadena is shrinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we only about 6% of the population here?
We're a little bit above 6% right now.
Wow.
And that's not including Altadena. So I'm specifically talking about Pasadena.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, we were larger than that at one time, weren't we?
Yeah. I mean, you can contribute it to affordable housing.
Okay.
That's number one. One thing that I always tell people right now is that, my generation, we're looking at our first homes being between $900 and $1.6 million, right? And so, but, a lot of us are not making that,
Exactly.
right? And so it's going to take so much more
Right,
for
right.
us to be home buyers and to stay here. And so we have to have those opportunities for more affordable home buying, but also, down payment assistance, right? And then it also goes to jobs, right? We have to create jobs, livable wages that are here in Pasadena so that people can afford to live here. It's one thing for us to say, hey, go work on this construction site and you can make $20 an hour. Or, hey, be a part of this apprenticeship program, get into the union, and you can make $50 an hour, right? And so there's a difference between living wages that we're trying to create more opportunities in our community so that people can actually live here and take a part of those opportunities instead of driving an hour away to Fontana or to Los Angeles in traffic to work. And then you got to drive another hour to get back home, right? And so people don't like to commute nowadays. They'll rather live close to where they work. And so that's another issue that we've been facing as well.
Yeah, I want to kind of take this where the rubber meets the road. They're building a whole lot of new houses in Pasadena, right? New construction, who can afford these? What's the average price of these homes? They're building $800,000 at least, wouldn't you say?
Right.
Who can afford an $800,000 house as your first house?
Right, and not only that, but most of them are not even for, the ones that are being built are not even for sale. Most of them are for lease, right, or for rent. And they're upwards of $2,500, $3,600, right? And so the price is very concerning, but also the opportunities of what people are making are even of concern as well. And so that's why we have to create opportunities in our city where people can actually make livable wages and we pay them what they're actually worth.
And hopefully we can discuss things like this because, first of all, if you don't have money, you can't afford to live here.
Right.
So how do we create more income for our people? Do we have to go break it down to education, scholarships? How do we make, they were talking about reparations for a long time ago. We're so far behind that we can't catch up.
Yeah.
So how do we create programs to help us catch up so we can compete into this society?
Before you go there, I want to make sure that we don't try to solve all the problems today.
Right.
What I want to make sure, these are the problems, and these are the things that we're going to be talking about at Merge Black Pasadena. We got to start thinking collectively that what is the old school think, what is the new school think. A good idea is during the affordable housing crisis. Some of the old school thought, well, we should never look at rent control. Some of the new school said we better have rent control. When in actuality, there should have been some kind of merge that said maybe we need this and maybe we need that. And this is what the Merge Black Pasadena is about. We've got a whole bunch of issues, Greg. And I think that we've got to stop being in that silo you talked about. Here, I'm in the old school silo, I'm in the new school silo, and I'm in the middle, I don't know what I'm doing silo. And so we want to start a conversation here with the old and the new. And to be honest with you, the new needs to understand some things, but the old school has got to come off that high horse. I got to come off my high horse, Brandon. When Brandon tell me something, no. You know who I am? Shut up, Martin. You ain't nobody. You've got to learn and you've got to progress. And I have to learn to sit back for a minute and all the stuff that I see and go like, I don't know how to do this and get help. So I know that there's a lot of things out there: affordable housing, jobs, job training, and the fact that all these new things are getting built and they're not affordable, and the affordable piece of them is not affordable. Is an issue. But I want to make sure that we stay on focus, that that Merge Pasadena is where we want to put all these people together, and we have some nice people that you're going to be able to talk to, and let's start talking about some of those things. And I want to add one more thing, because we didn't say it. When we say Merge Black Pasadena, that does include Altadena.
Right.
And I want to tell you one of the reasons why.
Right.
90% of the people living in Altadena used to live in Pasadena.
Right.
And here's what happened. They couldn't afford Pasadena, so they went to Altadena.
There you go.
Now you can't afford Altadena no more. So the young people thought they was going to come in and move into Altadena.
Right.
And the affordable housing in Altadena is just as high as it is in Pasadena.
And going to your point, I think just to talk about jobs in 2 seconds, I think local hire is one of our biggest things that we have to contend with, right?
Okay.
And we have to make sure that all these new construction buildings that are going up, that we have people that we are hiring from Pasadena that are working on these sites, right? And that's how we recycle our dollar.
Right.
But we have to put something in place. We have to put policies in place to make sure that the people that we hire, the unions that we get, the people that are on these construction sites, we have to put policies in place to make sure that there's a regiment that they have to hire local first before they hire anybody else. And that's how we recycle our dollar here.
And going back to what Martin said, this is about an event to start talking about putting stuff together.
Absolutely.
We can't solve it in a meeting.
Right.
Like right now, we're promoting this show so people can show up. And here's the thing that I find out. There's a lot of people that show up once in a while to do something and then they're finished. But this is an ongoing battle. We got to get people a little more engaged in the community. Do you find that, Marty, because you're right out there in activism, is it hard to get people to show up and do things?
Here's something that I'm going to say. I believe I've told this to Brandon before. And things have to be done, and you've said this a lot of times.
Right.
If you're going to eat an elephant, you don't eat him all at one time.
One bite at a time.
Eat one bite at a time. So this event, I think, is important.
Right.
Everybody comes to the event is not going to become an activist or start to work.
Right.
But we got to do things in increments.
Right.
And yes, when somebody comes to you, here's what you should do. They say, "What should I do?" Say, here's the first thing I say. What do you care about?
Right.
Is it affordable housing? Is it police oversight? Is it jobs? Everything. Think about what you want, and then tell me what you would like to see happen, and then let's do something.
Right.
Here's what they.
One
you
step.
know what'll happen if you do nothing.
Right.
So let's do something, and I create for them something they can say, this is something that I can do. So activism starts from 0 to 100, and so don't get mad at people because they don't show up the way you want them to. Everybody's not you, Greg.
Right,
You'll do 1,000 shows, or you'll do
At
this.
least.
And these things. And so we can't expect people, young or old, because some stuck in their ways. We can't expect them to automatically become activists. What we got to do is take the chunks out. And some of our old school people, when it clicks on for them, they're better than young people.
Right.
But you gotta wait, and you gotta find those ways to click them on. So is it hard to get people to consistently come? Yeah, because you know why? Being an activist is not fun.
Oh, no.
I just want to tell you that. Some
It's
people say
definitely not.
it is fun to me because I
Right.
just love people and I want to make sure that we get there. But it's not fun. It's a thankless job. How
Right.
many people want to work 24 hours a day and
For
have
little
people
nothing.
spit in their
Right.
face and you don't get paid? Only people that really care about their community. This is what I like about Brandon Lamar.
Right.
As I said, Brandon, they're gonna throw at you. They're gonna do this. He said, that ain't my problem. My problem is let's move forward.
Right.
And the other thing is I'm not always right.
Right.
If you're not willing to negotiate, get out. Because if we can't come to consensus, how can we develop and grow? And that's what's happening in Pasadena. We have too many silos, even at the political level, where people don't want to listen to what the people have to say, and then they get mad at the people for telling them what's needed.
Right. Now here's a very important point that I found out because we've been to so many meetings all the time. You have the A personality, the B personality, all the different personalities. They have big old egos. Everybody want to be the leader. But it's hard to get people to say, look, let me make me less so I can join forces with you so we can work better. Because everybody have their own agenda. I mean, I've talked to most of the pastors in this area. I said, why don't you guys come together? You're doing the same thing. So why can't you all, we don't want them to take our cookie jar. They don't want to take our cookie jar. But we have to get rid of this my, me, I. And learn to do things together. And in my opinion, I'm talking too much, is like I said, that was done to us. We were divided from slavery. I hate to put it that way, but we were intentionally divided in our thinking process.
Let me stop you right there so
Go ahead.
we can talk about, I want to talk about Black Emerge Pasadena, and I hope we can do something like this. What we have to do, and for pastors, the same thing. We need to do a show on that.
Right.
And I'll sit on the other side with the pastors.
There you
But
go.
but the bottom line is, I'm going to take Black Pasadena for a minute.
Okay.
Let's make sure that we can find something that's easy to agree
Common.
upon. So I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
The Jackie Robinson Center is going to have its 50th anniversary next year. Jackie Robinson will have his 105th birthday. You know, right? We'll have the 42nd, the number 42, Black History Parade. Jackie Robinson Center should have been upgraded many years ago, and I know you're going to do a show on this, and I'm glad to know that. But there's something that every Black person in Pasadena can agree on.
Right.
Pastor, blah blah blah. That we must, escalate the idea that the iconic Jackie Robinson Center must be brought back to the heyday
Right.
of when it was open, before that Jackie rolls over in his grave.
Right.
I'm telling you, he would say, "What are you doing here?" That's something we can all agree on. Now, the pastor's got this and the other,
Right.
but that's something we can agree on. So we can take some things, you don't like affordable housing here, you don't like, this.
Right.
There are some things that we can agree that every Black person that's sitting here can agree on. The pastors, everybody.
I like that.
Those are things that we got to start. We got to start there. And once we begin to trust each other for there, because if we make this happen, something like this happen, we can begin to trust each other in other areas. So let's find some common ground that all Black people and other people too are going to
Right.
join us
Of
too.
course.
But that can set us there. So that's our starting point,
Right.
because it's the answer to your question. It's difficult.
Right. And that's a very good point. In fact, I know you have an agenda, what you want to achieve. When people show up, perhaps, like I said, even a piece of paper, put it in a suggestion box, because everybody can't talk, and everybody gonna want to talk. So we need to say, if we got 10 things that everybody think needs to be done, now let's break this down to 5. Let's start off with 1 or 2 that everybody can agree with, because everybody's gonna want to do their pet peeves. But we have to, as a group, and merge Pasadena, merge Black Pasadena, so we can come together as a race, as a culture, and do something meaningful. But I find it, and I've been to so many meetings, it's very hard for us to get focused like that.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I'll say for this event in particular, I wanted to create a space where we all can just come in the same room and be, and just be, right? Be
Just
around
be
each
together.
other and just be. That I can rub elbows with Martin, I
Right.
can rub elbows with you, other people that's in my generation that haven't had the, I guess you would call privilege that I've had to be in certain
Right.
rooms, that they can do the same thing. And that's really what it is. It's a modern day picnic, if I can
Right.
call it, family
Right.
reunion. For us to get in the same room, there will be opportunities for people to put their suggestions in a suggestion box.
Right.
We're not going to discuss it all that day. We have particular people who will be talking. Your granddaughter is one
Right.
of the people that's going to be talking for her generation.
All
But there's a schedule. But I would say that this is just the first of many, right? We just want to create an opportunity where we can get everyone in the same room so that we can start the conversation. And the last thing I'll say about this is, I think the major part for me is understanding, and something that we all have to understand, is that in order for us to continue on and move forward, we can't do it alone.
Right.
So many things have happened and they failed because people tried to do it by themselves.
Right.
But if we're actually going to be sustainable and preserve what I call our history and continue generations to come as Black Pasadena, then we have to learn to do it together, and we have to work together. We have to thrive together. So that means the business owners, the doctors, the lawyers, the developers, the politicians, and everybody else in between. We have to learn to come together and be one by ourselves first, so that we can affect other generations.
That is so good. Years ago, I started an organization called Real Men, which is intent was to get men together, to come together, start talking about male issues. We all face issues, but we don't ever come together to discuss them.
Right.
And I like what you said. First of all, come in and just be together.
Yeah.
Just we're not against each other. So we got to learn to be together first. And now how can we work together?
Yeah.
But we got to get rid of the stuff that divides us. I mean, we're divided by race, by age, sex. Everything in this country is divided. So just getting together would be an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the point of this, right? That's the point for us to be in the same room, no matter with how old you are, or how much money you make, or the classism that people try to divide us by. We want to make sure that you're in the space where you can be, and that and not only just be, but where you can breathe, right? With people that look like you, not necessarily think like you, but look like you, so that we can work together.
We're going to have a whole nother show after this to follow up on, because one of the things you wanted to do is preserve Black identity, Black history, and our contributions to Pasadena. That's a whole nother can of worms, you know. And the other part about, we have to learn to be a race together, because every other race seems to help one another. I don't see us doing that.
And we're changing it.
Just get ready to say, we're starting that.
Yeah.
We almost said
We're
at the same
changing
time, we said we're changing that. We're starting that because we do have pockets where we're doing that.
Right.
And we have to build those. It's like having a building block.
Right.
You build a good block and then you put up another block on top of it. So we're starting that. And it is hard work.
Right.
It is difficult work because everybody has the right idea. They want to do something for the people. But it's hard for us sometimes to work together. You know, you have all kind of things that can draw you back.
Exactly. We have only 1 minute. So can y'all tell me what your expectations are out of this first event?
I would say show up.
Okay.
I don't have any expectations for you.
Right.
My expectations for people is to show up,
Okay.
and to be a part, and to do what other people say can't be done.
Right.
Also, I'm a person that believes that you cannot magnify a problem if you don't add a solution to that problem.
I like that.
And so we hear about problems all the way around our city when it comes to Black Pasadena, but also there's some solutions that are in there as well.
Perfect.
And so come and hear the solutions.
Perfect. Anything you want to add to that, because we only have just a few seconds?
Here's mine. Show up, be Black, and it'll be all right.
I like. So this is about an event that we want you guys to attend, and tell us where it's going to be again.
It's going to be our Cabelon Cultural Center,
And
which
the date?
is April 1st,
Okay.
1435 North Raymond Avenue, at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. and for about 4 hours or 3 hours?
It's going to be from 5 to 8.
5 to 8.
Is there going to be food?
It will be food.
And will be
there
food.
will be food. So you're
Well-
going to eat, you're going to drink, and you're going to dance.
Our time is out, and thank you so much, both of you gentlemen.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
And we're going to have a follow-up on the show, okay?
Yes, we want to see how
All right.
this came back, and we hope to have some great things to say when we come back.
Very good. A good day to everyone. Thank you.
Good day to all. Welcome to Straight Talk with Greg Middleton. My name is Alexandra. With this introduction, here is Greg,